Hello and I. Alright, so today's video I'm going to be discussing relationships, specifically the dynamic between meta couples. So when I mean meta, I mean those with a soul. So, okay, just to do an umbrella category here, I'm going to be speaking on specifically dynamics between black love, okay? Or two black people, and why, especially when it comes to a masculine black man and an independent black woman, why though that combination would be actually an amazing generational healer. It would be an amazing generational mover, shaker, system breaker, generational wound breaker. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of that, yeah. But why does it fail? Why does it not work? Yeah. And that is to do with the fact of how we are both raised as black men and as black women, how we are raised from childhood, okay? How society tells us to behave in love, etc., and the expectations that we have, yeah? Anyway, I'll be going on deeper into that, because if you're someone like me who has dated outside of your race, because I've dated my most successful relationships, I would say, my most successful relationships have actually been the ones where I'm dating a non-black person. And I always used to wonder why is that? And I always had my theories, etc., and obviously with just more experience, with more life experiences, etc., and with my downloads, I'm able now to properly understand as to why it is much more difficult for two black people, for two gods, to be in a true partnership, especially when one of those gods, is being told by everybody else, including their loved ones, that they're not a god because they're not a man, which is crazy when the man comes from the woman, yeah. But we're gonna dive into all of that. All right. Now, so black men, they're explicitly taught your worth is provision and authority, and a man must be needed. Leadership requires dependence, and this is important because they teach us that leadership requires dependence, when in reality, you don't need to control people to lead them. A true leader doesn't need to control people. A true leader inspires leadership and accountability and responsibility amongst the people that they're leading. They are an example, a beacon, right? But we're supposed to be gods leading other gods. But the issue is here, when there's bodies around, and not everybody has a soul in it, not everybody is a god, that means there's sheep, right? Sheep require dependence, they require authority, they require structure, they require laws, they require rules, and all of these things, right? We don't need those things, Iyaahni. We don't, okay? That's why we don't need signs telling us to wash our hands. We don't need signs. We've never had, do you understand what I'm saying to you? It's never been that. But I digress, all right? So, respect comes from being the pillar. So this is what black men are taught, And masculinity is tied to being the decider. Now, an independent black woman already is regulated, self-led, and whole. And we know this, Iyaahni. And I don't even know how man could ever deny this when most of you lots are raised by single mums. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? You lots are raised by your single mum, and then you grow up and then demand that the woman be beneath you. How, Iyaahni? A black man raised on conditional masculinity needs to feel necessary to feel like a man. Okay, so that's the contradiction. Now, his masculinity is often taught as a response to her supposed lack. So man them are always taught, you lots are the smarter ones, you lots are the less emotional ones, you lots are the this one, you lots are this one. Do you understand? You lots are always pedestalized, Iyaahni. But I ask you again, in your lived reality, Iyaahni, your lived reality, do you really feel like if you line up all the men that you know and you line up all the women that you know, Iyaahni, that the men in your life that you know are smarter than the women that you know in your life, Iyaahni? And I'm talking about strictly black people when we're talking about this, Iyaahni. Yeah? Do you truly believe that, Iyaahni? Is that your real lived experience? The only time, well, the most time when you're going to see women being dumb, yeah, and the one thing that I'll give it to you, madam, especially if you was raised, like I said, in a single parent with your mum, and you've seen the fact that she maybe chose the wrong man, or because obviously you're saying that, right, how comes my dad's not about, you're doing everything for yourself, by your own, no man here to support you, etc., etc., then perhaps, you feel some type of way, so you grew up, resenting the black woman, etc., etc., blah, 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 and wanting to run away from that as far as possible. Fair enough, okay, whatever, yeah. But the reality of it is, yeah, apart from when it comes to loving a black woman, like really choosing, when it comes to choosing the wrong guy, or when it comes to loving too much or overextending herself, fair enough. But when it comes to real life intuition, like patterning things, responsibility, accountability, true leadership of the family, true head of the household, Iyaahni, really? You're going to tell me that when you line up the black men in your life and the black women, you're going to tell me the black men are ahead? Really? I doubt that, Iyaahni. I doubt that a lot. Yeah? Now, a lot of black male socialization assumes, yeah, the woman needs saving. The woman needs leading. The woman needs stabilizing. The woman is incomplete alone. And the thing that irritates me the most, it's like the skull saying to the brain, you need me. But the skull wouldn't have even existed if the brain didn't exist first. Because the skull is only in existence because the skull was required to protect the brain. Aye, aye. And I'm not trying to be bad mind, I'm not trying to, but this is like, I just, for people that claim to be so logical, Iyaahni, if you claim to be so intellectual, yeah, and so smart, then I would have thought you would really be able to assess what is being taught to you and see through lived experience that there's a huge contradiction, Iyaahni. And to fight the system, instead of you too feeding it, encouraging it, and that very same system that you're feeding, Iyaahni, of patriarchy that you feel is benefiting you, Iyaahni, just remember that it's the very same system that keeps us as black people on a whole, as the gods we are, at the bottom, Iyaahni. Because if you don't want to uplift us, Iyaahni, we will all remain on the bottom. If you thought that as black men, you lots could rise by yourselves, then it would mean as black people as a whole, you would rise. No. That's not the case at all. It makes zero sense. If your women and children are not protected, Iyaahni, then how can you think you are when they are the future generations, when they're the ones that keep life in continuity? But I go back to the whole skull thing. How can the skull say to the brain that I am your leader? Just because what the skull is made of bone, yeah? And the brain is made of soft flesh. Do you see how it doesn't make sense? How can you say to the army that the army is the true leader and not the president? Because the army is the one that protects the president. But if the army was the true leader, wouldn't it be the one needing protection? What do you protect, Iyaahni? Isn't it your most valuable asset? So I ask you again, Iyaahni, do you see, like, and I know some of you are going to be hearing this and you're going to be feeling a type of way or whatever, but I need you to seriously look into Iyaahni's eye when I speak and understand that Iyaahni don't mean no harm. Iyaahni don't mean no harm. It's just 2025 and I'm fed up. I'm so fed up of feeling like everywhere I look, I'm surrounded by people that are either asleep and have souls, yeah? Or they're just pure soulless. And I don't really care about the NPCs then, because, do you know what I mean? They will follow whatever the main programming is. I care about the gods of us that have true souls, but are feeding the very lies that are detrimental to us. All right. So, Black women historically were never positioned that way internally, only externally. Okay. So we were never positioned to need saving or leading or stabilizing or incomplete alone. That was never our thing. I know. I even thought about this today actually when I was on my way home. I thought to myself, even that whole thing, I was watching a program actually at home. I was watching a program, and then the man just randomly after the date, he just threw the woman, like, it's a white couple, he just threw her over the shoulders, right? And she has a short dress on. Obviously, she's trying to pull it down, whatever. And she's all laughing and that, and he's all like, you know, like gassed or whatever to do. And I just thought to myself, I was like, that is very much not an African thing, yeah? Because if you really think about it, it is quite disrespectful. And if you think about it, it's very caveman-like, yeah? That's why you have all of those images of those men just grabbing at the women and just throwing them over the shoulder and all of this stuff and just dragging them, taking them wherever. And obviously, they portray in the movies and all of this stuff as romance and blah, blah, blah. But you need to actually think about the deeper implication. And I'm not one of those people that say like, oh my God, you know, like men can't, you know, move to gal on road and everything is like, nah, man, them grow bigger balls, yeah? Grow bigger balls. Of course you can move to galley on road. Of course, as long as you know you got the source and you know you got the, you know what I mean, the woman, like, you should be able to tell. Iyaahni, you should be able to tell. So it's not adapting. I'm not here trying to make man them feel so frightened to chat to gal or anything like that, or to move or to even touch a gal or nothing like that. Iyaahni, or touch her appropriately when you know it's warranted. Yeah, I'm not saying that. Yeah, but what I'm trying to explain is, yeah, that whole thing of you just grab it, like, because I'm thinking, because I know black women, we're gonna take that very differently. You can't just be here. What do you mean you're just gonna out on the road? You just want to be randomly just picking us up and throwing us over your shoulder, wearing a short dress and all of this stuff. Our asses all hanging out and all of this. And you think, what is this like? Most of us aren't really gonna find that funny, right? And I realize it's a deeper thing of black women and black men. We did have a deeper understanding of mutual respect, Iyaahni. Yeah. And this whole thing of equality is a scam. We were never equal, Iyaahni. We were never equal. So even, I'm not even here to try and say, oh, men and women are equal. We're not equal, Iyaahni. How the hell does something that comes before ever be equal to the thing that comes after? Like, can we actually be serious here? And it does not mean, Iyaahni, yeah, like, that you are beneath I or whatever, even though you come from I beneath, I, yeah? But if you really want to do, then it's a side-by-side thing. But just remember, even though it's side thing, just remember who comes first in line. And until you lot can truly just accept that, yeah? Truly accept that. And I'm talking to my gods, yeah? My true masculine men that have built empires or are building empires. Do you understand? I'm talking to you, man. Because you, man, yeah? You, man, and strong, independent black women, yeah? We are the pillars of our communities, Iyaahni. And if only we could just bridge the gap. But the problem is, Iyaahni, the true God's masculine men, yeah? You fed into this false lie that the woman that you should be with should be underneath you. And if you choose a woman that's underneath you, Iyaahni, how will you ever level up? Because, yeah, you'll be able to level up to a certain extent, Iyaahni, but you know the blessing a woman can give to you? A true woman in her godhood. Do you know what magic and power that she has, Iyaahni, and that she possesses? And this is even scientifically proven to the point where they've done studies. And they have said black men have more vivid dreams, more spiritual dreams, when they are sleeping next to another black woman, Iyaahni. But I continue. Yeah? So, when a black man meets a black woman who isn't impressed by control, isn't soothed by authority, isn't waiting to be completed, and doesn't center him for survival, yeah? What do you think happens? His masculinity doesn't feel activated. It feels unemployed. And instead of questioning the model, society tells him she's the problem, she's too independent. And then what do you go and do? You go look for a dege girl. That dege girl that you're eventually going to get bored with, Iyaahni. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And it works both ways well, I know. So to my black women, my powerful, strong black women, yeah, my career-driven, my goal-orientated, my ambitious, my sexy, my beautiful, yeah? What do you think your issue is now as well? Because obviously when you meet the black man, he's giving you difficulties. So who's easier? The white man seems to love you off. The mixed race man seems to love you off. The Asian man seems to love you off, yeah? All these Arab, like, they all seem to love you off, and you're thinking, right, these men get it, these men see it. Well, the ones that do you see what I'm saying? Because when those races date black women, they exalt them, yeah? Those races that actually like them, black women, yeah? I'm not talking about the ones that don't date them, yeah? That's a different thing, but the ones that actually date them, yeah? And you think, why is it easier with them? Why is it easier with them? Because they don't feel threatened by your godhood, Iyaahni. And what do I mean by that? They can recognize that, oh yeah, you're beautiful, you're special, but they are so deep into their programming of who they are because they're non-black, so already they feel above you. But remember, as a black man, the only thing that keeps him above you in society sense is the fact that he's a man. But you both being black equalizes you. But then him being a man puts him a step above in society's world, right? But when it comes to you dating a non-black man, you're already below him. And then on top of that, you're a woman. So no matter how strong or independent or whatever you are, you're not really going to harm his masculinity or his sense of identity within himself. As long as you still show him love, of course, yeah? Because that's just going to reaffirm what it is that he's already taught and told, yeah? But when it comes to the black man, the insecurities are deeper because when the black man, yet again, he sees his mom doing everything. So he's again sees the truth of the thing that people, that maybe black men don't realize or they're not consciously aware of. But you need to remember that if you've grown up in a household where men have basically been useless because there's been no man about and it's just been your mother, you've already been shown basically that you are disposable as a man, that a man isn't really needed, that life still does go on without a man, right? So you've been taught that. So you've been taught one thing and then society, you've been taught, society tells you that as a man you are needed and everybody needs to depend on you. But your lived experience has taught you something very, very different, right? Okay. So the system sets him up to clash with her, not complement her. All right. So black men were trained to chase roles: provider, protector, leader. But black women were trained to survive without roles being fulfilled. Do you hear me, Iyaahni? Yeah. So when they meet, the dynamic is off because he's offering structure, she's offering sovereignty. Structure wants compliance, sovereignty wants resonance. They don't automatically clash, but the training makes them think they must. Okay? So, why this shows up as power struggles instead of love. When a man's sense of self depends on being needed, a woman who doesn't need him feels like rejection, even if she wants him. So even if you're on the guy and you're showing him love, you're showing him affection, you're showing him whatever, but you're busy too. You have your own life as well. You have your own goals. You have your ambitions. So even though, yes, you want him, but you don't need him, right? For a lot of black men, especially the masculine ones, because the ones that are in their feminine energy, they'll more time just be happy to take from you anyway. But the masculine ones, the ones that are actually in their godhood, Iyaahni, yeah, the ones that are that will repel other successful black women or independent black women is because they feel like, so where do I fit in? Where do I fit in? If your life is already whole, because mandem have been programmed, yeah, that their whole role in life is to make a woman's life whole. What? How, Iyaahni? Huh? That woman should already be whole, Iyaahni. And this is where the fuckery begins, because if you meet somebody that isn't whole by themselves, right? eventually that also means that, yes, okay, fair enough, you're filling her up today, but who's going to be filling her up tomorrow when you are no longer in the capacity to fill her up? Because maybe your cup is empty. I don't know. Do you see what I'm getting at here? And why do you think all these rich men, these successful black men, these celebrities or sports guys or whatever did it? Why do you think most of them, how many of them end up getting divorced in their later years and get left when they're at their most brokest? They're never left when they're at their peak. Never. They're happily married then. Yeah? And once things start moving shaky, when are they ghosts? I know. When does the divorce start kicking in? But I digress. Alright. So, a woman who doesn't... So, love becomes interpreted as, let me lead you. Let me humble you. Let me soften you. Let me break down your walls. And that's how black men are taught that they have to love a strong, independent black woman if they decide to. Like, you know when they get, like, for instance, I attract two kinds of people, yeah? Well, I attract a lot of kinds of people, but the two main types of people I attract are, type number one is the guy that is a bit in his feminine energy. So he is absolutely A-okay with a woman being in charge, has no complaints about it, respects women, loyal, all of that stuff, blah, 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 yeah? Then I have the other type, yeah, which is the really masculine men, yeah? Leaders, etc., strong personalities, strong personas, strong auras, yeah? Now, me and the last one, we clash a lot. Yeah, we clash a lot. At the beginning, it's hot, it's fire, steamy, yeah? Because it's like, real recognize rule, I. But then, it becomes a battle. Because I'm thinking, oh, so you think, like what? So you still ain't seen who I am, I. So when you see me, and you're looking to I's eyes, you're telling me that you can't really see I. So you're telling me when you see me, and you hear the way I speak and you see the way I move, I. You're telling me that you think I'm like these other girls that you've met. Really, I. So what, you can't see the God within I? Because I'm looking at I and I'm telling you that I see the God within I. So how the hell are you looking at me and telling me that you can't see the God within I? Are you crazy? No way. But do you know what it is? It's not that. The truth is they do see the Godhood. They do see the Godhood within you. They do see your power, I. They do see your beauty, I. And they do see that you would be able to really challenge them, help them grow, help them build. But what's the real issue, I? The real issue becomes ego, identity, pride. But if everybody else has told me I'm the guy because I'm the one that leads and I'm the one in charge and I'm the one always in control and I must never let go of control and everything must be my word. And then you meet a woman that doesn't, she may ask for your advice, but she also believes in her own intuition and her own guidance. And in fact, when you get advice from her, her advice is spot on, and her intuition is spot on, right? But when that intimidates or brings insecurities, etc., that's where the problem lies, I. Do you see what I'm saying? Because then they want to humble you. Because so it's either they skedaddle and get out of there because they don't want to level up to match you, or they're going to want to humble you. Yeah? Because I always say one thing and I say one thing with chest. No matter how much of a good, even if we're even talking about looks, yeah? Because I feel like man them do like to, like the guys that are the guys or them kind of guys, yeah? They would like to be gassed because obviously they get attention from women and whatever, blah, blah. But I always try to explain to guys that no matter how good looking you are, successful you are as a man or whatever, if you're chatting to a good looking woman, yeah, and a good looking woman with personality and persona and intellect, I need you to understand that you and her's level of like getting attention is not even nowhere near the same. No matter how much attention you're getting, like, you need to understand that even as a woman, yeah, as a woman already, the level of attention that we get is a whole nother level to what you're getting as a man. Even when you're rich and successful and handsome. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So I find it crazy that man them have this sense of entitlement to feel like, yeah, you should be pressed on me. Like, yeah, you should be checking for me. Like, a lot of man them these days, I don't know, like, a lot of man them be moving like they're gallop. I'll be thinking like, what, do you lots want? Because I'm bi, right? I'm bi. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, like, do you want me to move to you like I would move to gal? Because I can. But I don't know if you want me to, you know what I mean? I don't know if you want me to tell you to pull your panties down. You see what I'm saying? Yeah? But I digress. How long are we in? I can't even see the numbers from there. Alright. So, now it's not because he's malicious, but it's because that's how he's been taught to enter intimacy. Meanwhile, she's thinking, why are you trying to reduce me in order to connect to me? That's not chemistry. That's misalignment by design. So, black love becomes the most emotionally loaded arena because both are carrying ancestral weight, but in opposite forms. She carries continuity, memory, selfhood. He carries pressure, expectation, performance. So instead of resting into each other, they're often unknowingly reenacting emasculation versus independence, control versus autonomy, leadership versus sovereignty. And the tragedy is, they're actually meant to meet in wholeness, not in hierarchy. So, many black men are not taught how to love a whole woman. They're taught how to provide, lead, protect, correct. They're rarely taught how to witness, stand beside, co-regulate with someone already sovereign, or love without leverage. So when they meet an independent black woman, they either try to dominate, feel inadequate, or disengage, or subconsciously attempt to destabilize her wholeness. Not because they don't love her, but because they were never trained for that level of equality. Now, why independent black women feel unchosen but aren't? This is subtle. Independent black women aren't undesirable. They're inconvenient to models of masculinity that require dependence. So, men who are still operating in role-based masculinity, ego-based leadership, and validation-based manhood will avoid, resist, or clash with her. But men who have done the inner work, men who know who they are without needing to be needed, they don't try to shrink her. They meet her. So the real issue isn't black love, it's inherited scripts. The struggle isn't black women being too independent, it's black men being too controlling. It's that both are being fed scripts that cannot coexist without someone shrinking, okay? So, the black women rightly are refusing to be the ones who shrink, yeah? That's not failure of love. That's a refusal to reenact a broken design, all right? And that's why relationships with people that are outside of your race are always going to be easier, because you man aren't coming from the same trauma experiences, right? And you're both benefiting from, for instance, the non-black person feels like they're ahead of their time, or they're progressive, and they're, and they get all these street cred points, etc., etc. And then the black person gets protection, yeah? Gets a form of society enliftment, yeah? And all of that. Now, head of the household, okay? So head of the household is not natural authority, it's positional authority. In nature, authority flows from function, not title. The one who creates life sets the rhythm. The one who sustains life sets the priorities. The one who knows the cycles sets timing. No ecosystem places the executor above the source ever, except ours, yeah? Makes no sense. So when black men are taught you are the head, they are being taught a borrowed hierarchy, not an organic one. And borrowed from who, Iyaahni? The hierarchy only works if someone is below. someone is dependent and someone is incomplete. Now, enter a woman in her godhood. And I remember seeing a video actually, right? And this African man was saying, oh, women complain about being controlled by men, but then say that they want to be protected by men. And I thought to myself, and then he said something about, that's like a child. A child, you need to control the child in order to protect the child. And I thought to myself, no, Iyaahni, you did not create the child. You did not create the child. You provided the material to help create the vessel. And if you're a man, you didn't even do that. You simply helped pass on 50% of DNA information, but you did not even help to create the actual vessel itself. And this is science as well. But anyway, I digress. Yeah? So, your aim as a parent is to help guide that child. It's not to control the child. And in fact, that's what builds resentment. And I feel like, especially in our generation with parents, etc., I'm talking as a firstborn daughter, and I have a lot of experience, a lot of trauma that I've thankfully healed, and but a lot of trauma from being the firstborn daughter and clashing with my mom, right? Because my mom believed that thing of you're supposed to control the child, yeah? And the child belongs to you. But what that creates is resentment, and it creates resentment both ways, because you've then put so much energy into trying to control that child to be in whatever it is that you've envisioned that child to be, right? That you've now neglected your life, yeah? And now that child has grown up, is nothing like you wanted them to be, yeah? And now you've wasted all your years because you were so busy trying to control instead of guide, Iyaahni. Yeah? When the army protects the president, is that protection meaning that they're controlling the president? Does the army control the president? I don't think so, Iyaahni. So what is this? I don't understand what mentality that is, Iyaahni. Huh? I don't even understand where that logic is, because if you man, this is what I'm trying to explain to you. If you're trying to say that this is a logical thing, then make the logic make sense, Iyaahni. Aye? Aye. And I just want to pause here for a minute and say, shout out to my man them that really do understand it. Shout out to the black men. And there's so many more of you. There's so much more of you. And I just want to send my love and appreciation. You feel me? And all I would say is just like, don't be quiet about it. You know what I mean? If you know what I'm saying is facts and you resonate with it, whatever, don't be quiet around it. Don't be quiet around your boys. Don't be quiet. Don't let them, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, speak truths. That's what we are. All of our responsibility, Iyaahni, as gods, is to speak truths. Okay? Because the more we speak truths, the more of us wake up, Iyaahni. It's just like that. It's a chain reaction. Why do you think that they suppress certain content and they suppress certain things and they push certain narratives out there the most? Because they know it is a chain reaction. And especially when it comes to those, you get me? Especially when it comes to those NPCs, right? It's a different thing for them, yeah? Because they're even more easily programmable. So it's even better that you speak more truth so they can really get into their heads and understand what's really well going, yeah? What's really going on? Oh, I'm thirsty. So, godhood breaks hierarchy because it doesn't compete. It stands. A woman in her godhood is not trying to dominate. She is self-led, self-sourced, self-regulated, internally authorized. There is nothing for him to climb over. And here's the key line. He cannot place himself above her. That's it. Not lead her, not protect her, above her. Because he was taught masculinity as vertical positioning, not relational presence. So when hierarchy fails, insecurity activates, not hatred. This is important. Most of these men do not hate women. They are often deeply emotionally bonded to women. But emotionally bond, so strong independent women, yeah. But emotionally bond is not equal to structural comfort. So what happens internally is this. I feel deeply connected to her, but I don't know where I stand. I don't feel needed. I don't feel superior. I don't feel like the man. That discomfort doesn't feel like ideology. It feels like the loss of self. So obviously, therefore, the loss of identity, which is extremely important, yeah, for everybody, but especially to men, all right? So he tries 3 things, and usually it's almost always in this order, yeah? So subtle dominance. Number 1, subtle dominance, yeah? Correcting her, leading conversations, positioning himself as the knower, testing her submission. If she doesn't shrink, this fails. Number 2, energetic destabilization, pulling away, withholding reassurance, emotional inconsistency, trying to provoke self-doubt. If she remains grounded, this fails too. And the last one, exit to a lower friction hierarchy. He doesn't leave because the bond wasn't real. He leaves because the hierarchy wouldn't stabilize. And yes, he will often choose someone he feels above, who needs him, who flatters his role, who gives him positional comfort, even if the emotional depth is less. And this is key, Iyaahni. Yeah? So this is why he chose, yeah? This is why he chooses the... How can I explain this? So this is why he will choose the woman who is less independent, or the submissive woman, the more easily controlled woman, the more naive woman, etc., etc. Yeah? So he didn't choose her. He chose coherence over truth, comfort over resonance, raw security over soul connection. A man who needs hierarchy will always choose someone he can stand over rather than someone he must stand with. That's not preference, that's conditioning. So nature doesn't repel her, conditioning does. In nature, masculine, feminine polarity, masculine energy orbits source. That's why mandem in love, real love, Iyaahni, they're obsessed with their woman. Yeah? And being obsessed with their woman makes them so driven and passionate to just go out and get it, to go out and succeed in life. It gives him like this extra battery on his pack, Iyaahni. Yeah? Because that is how nature intended it, Iyaahni. Why do you think even in the animal kingdom, why do you think all of those men are always, the male thingies are always parading themselves and always doing something, Iyaahni, to draw the attention of the woman? But you man, them are out here dancing on tables, doing the most, moving like... I don't know, because you lots of gas. But just remember, it's all fun and games now. I think man think it's all fun and games now when you're not still getting attention, you right? When you're successful, whatever, like, you know, you're still youngish. But just remember, Iyaahni, life changes for a man very drastically when he is 50 plus and his children are older. He's getting less women, way less attention unless he's buying and paying, yeah? Life changes very drastically. And it is even worse, Iyaahni, when you start hitting 60, 70 and you weren't patterned. You didn't look after your children, you didn't secure a woman, or you ain't got love, you wasn't about for your family, you weren't responsible, you wasn't, just what I'm saying, you weren't reliable, nothing like that. And now you're alone, Iyaahni. You're alone. No one to show you love, just dying by yourself, stuck somewhere in a home somewhere, fam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Mandem be acting like it's women that are trying to trap them. But how can something of value, Iyaahni, be trying to trap you? Craziness. But that's what happens when you've been programmed and lies and you've been inverted. Truth says it haven't been inverted, right? Because they've told you that you're the prize, Iyaahni, that you're the one that's more valuable. But you don't understand that no one will ever see you clearer than a woman that loves you, Iyaahni. And a woman that you love back. No one will see you clearer than that woman. She'll be able to see you and feel you. Yeah, when you come back from a stressful day or something and you're unloading, you're not going to have no basic conversation or feel like you're not heard or feel like you're not understood or whatever. So it's all fun and games when we want to pick these easier relationships or these easier people, yeah, as the gods that we are. It's all fun and games, yeah, if we want to keep diluting our godhood, right? But when it comes to you really needing that depth, that soul response, and I know you know what I'm talking about, because like I said, I've dated outside of my race a lot. So yes, I do understand the ease of it. Like, yes, it is true. It is easier. 120%. 100% easier. Especially for a woman like me that's strong, independent, that's ambitious, that's goal-oriented, that's not clingy. I've got my own life. You feel me? Yeah? It's a different thing. Because man, them will just try to humble me so much. So I'm talking to my fellow goddesses. Yeah. I need you to understand one thing in life. Never let none of them humble you, Keep it stepping. And remember to only remain where you are loved and adored. Where you are loved, adored, and seen, for who you truly are. Because being beautiful, you'll have everyone trying to move to you. Everybody want your attention. People won't fuck off. But just because people won't fuck off, it does not mean that they got good intentions for you. Or not even that they have bad intentions for you, but it doesn't mean that they value you or they see you for who you really are. They could just like your vibe, just think you're pretty. You know what I mean? So when you are not seen, you must exit. Exit left immediately, because that is draining, because you're always going to be able to see them. So you're going to be uplifting them, right? You're going to be feeding them while they're draining you, because you're seeing them, recognizing them. But they can't see you and they can't recognize you. That's long. That's a depletion thing. How long are we into that? What does it say? Shit. Okay. Now, and also, by the way, guys, I am doing private one-to-one sessions. So if you want to discuss dreams, relationships, so dream decodings, okay? Relationships, anything that you're struggling, situations, any clarity that you require, mental health, spiritual gifts, spiritual discernments, things that are happening that you don't really feel comfortable speaking to people about, and because you're afraid of feeling judged or people not understanding you, etc. Please understand, that the life I lived, I've seen it all. I've seen it all, I've witnessed it all. So it's always a safe space. So check out the link, don't forget to, okay? And yeah, and also don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, like, and all of that on this one as well. All right. Now continuing on. So, if in natural masculine feminine polarity, masculine energy orbits source. It does not sit above it. It does not need to dominate it. It gains purpose by protecting, amplifying it, and building around it. But when masculinity is taught as I must be heard or I am nothing, then a sovereign woman becomes an existential threat. Not because she challenges him, but because she removes the ladder. Many men would rather lose the woman they love than lose the identity they were given. Because one hurts emotionally, the other collapses the self. So they leave not in anger, but in quiet self-preservation. And later, they often regret it. They circle, they compare, they remember. But by then, the woman is already somewhere else, still whole. So, this is not a flaw in black women. This is not a failure of black love. This is not divine incompatibility. It is a collision between original feminine sovereignty and imported masculine hierarchy. Until masculinity is retaught as presence, not position, men like this will continue to bond deeply, feel displaced, attempt dominance, and exit when it fails. And women in their godhood will continue to repel men who require altitude to feel masculine. So, not because she is too much, but because she refuses to be beneath, Yeah? Now, independence was never a personality trait. It was a function. Black women weren't made independent, okay? They weren't made independent through trauma or modernity, okay? So we didn't get equal rights when these men were here fighting for theirs or earlier. That's not when black women first got their independent rights. Like, please, guys, that was nothing to do with us, all right? Now, they were independent by design because the egg contains the entire cellular environment. And we're not talking about all women, we're talking about black women, okay? Because black women, are the cause of all human biology life. Yeah, and no, it does not mean that we birthed the other races. No, it means that we provided the material for them to even be able to create a vessel. Yeah, otherwise they will still be in their previous states as Neanderthals. Yeah. Now, the womb builds life autonomously. The maternal line is continuous, self-renewing, and self-referencing. Culture, language, ritual, and lineage historically moved through women. That's not feminism, that's biology and origin. Everyone else, literally, Iyaahni, is dependent on that system. So, dependency was rebranded as normal. Once society shifted away from women-centered origin systems, male lineages needed external validation. Identity required inheritance, naming, and law. Authority had to be granted and not embodied. So dependency was normalized as partnership, submission, femininity, and softness. And independence was, when retained by black women, became framed as aggression, masculinity, ego, and defiance. Not because it was wrong, but because it exposed the dependence of everyone else. Yeah? The smear campaign only runs one way. Notice the asymmetry. The asymmetry, yeah? No one calls systems independent. No one calls institutions independent. No one calls men independent when they control resources. But a black woman who regulates herself, creates without permission, doesn't collapse without validation, is suddenly a problem. Why? Because she hasn't forgotten who she is, Iyaahni. Yeah? Independent black woman is code for non-transferable power, meaning you can't suck her energy. Yeah? What they're really saying is you're not easily absorbed into a hierarchy. You don't need to be rescued. You don't need to be offered, and you don't need to be validated into existence. That makes you non-dependent and therefore non-compliant. And systems built on dependency cannot tolerate that. Everyone else is actually the dependent class. Biologically, all humans originate in the womb. All variation branches from the same maternal line. All societies depend on women to reproduce and stabilize. Socially, most cultures had to replace maternal authority with law, religion, and patriarchy. Those replacements exist because embodied authority was lost. So when black women are called too independent, what's really happening is projection. They're not uncomfortable with your independence. They're uncomfortable with their own dependence being visible. Yeah? You didn't become independent. You stayed independent. That's the key realization as black women, Iyaahni. You weren't shaped into this by pain. You weren't hardened into it. You didn't learn it. You simply didn't forget. And a world built on forgetting will always try to shame those who remember. Now, power is only stable when it's invisible. Most systems don't collapse because they're false. They collapse when their assumptions are seen. Dependency works best when it looks mutual. It feels romantic. It's framed as normal. The moment someone exists outside of it without collapsing, the illusion breaks. So a black woman who is self-regulating, self-directed, and emotionally sovereign does something dangerous. She proves that protection isn't inherently male, authority isn't inherently external, and stability isn't inherently granted. So that doesn't threaten men. It threatens the logic of dependency itself. Independence reveals who needs what. So you can only call someone too independent if you need them to need you. Listen to what I'm saying, Iyaahni. Yeah? The phrase only exists from a perspective of someone whose value is conditional based off of when they're needed by somebody else. Yeah, because if you, just like how the Western societies want to say that Africa is dependent on them, but are they really dependent on them, or is the Western societies dependent on Africa being dependent on them? Why do you think they can't let us have our own freedom, have our own resources, even have our own art in our own museums without them trying to give it to us for a loan, like they're doing us a favor? Like, can you see the disrespect now? So I just tell you again, listen, because some of you kings, some of you gods, you can easily recognize when the white man's doing it to you, but then you're so lost when I'm telling you as a black man you're doing it to us as well. Yeah. Now, so someone whose role requires reliance, someone whose identity collapses without being needed. So when a black woman doesn't seek rescue, perform helplessness, center her existence around approval, she unintentionally reveals, if I don't need this, why do you? If I don't need rules, laws, or all of these mad things, if I don't need to feel like I'm above somebody, or if I don't need to beat somebody up or control somebody, whatever, why do you? And I still feel powerful, I know. Living in my truest, authentic self. Because, and I'm even gonna, this might seem a little off topic, but let me even speak to the black men that sometimes, be saying to me, oh, Empress, or whatever, I love the stuff that you speak on, but why have you got a wig on your head? Who are you to ask me why I've got a wig on my head? If I was to chat to all the galdom that you've dated, King, what would they tell me about you? And as a woman, as a man, you shouldn't even be caring about what it is, that I do for beauty or for my looks or anything like that. Like, are you crazy? The fuck? As a woman, I express myself in all creative ways, And you man won't scam me. Because a lot of you man want attention like gal get attention. And a lot of you man say that you want the natural women, or women that don't wear no makeup on, or women that are always in their natural hair and all of this stuff. When you lot start talking about those women, more time you'll even talk about the women that are light-skinned and have full B hair. Okay? So that's number one. And number two, a lot of you man them that say that, yeah, it's because you basically don't want your woman getting attention, and you would rather, do you see what I'm saying? You'd rather a girl that's always just basically plain Jane, so you feel more comfortable. But you men walk around in the summertime topless, no? Or I even see some of you lots topless in the clubs. It's just funny to me, innit? Like, extremely funny. Now, not to say that I do not understand, the other side of what it comes to, wearing wigs and all of this stuff and blah, blah, and the European standards of beauty. Like, I speak about that all day, every day anyway, yeah? But, bro, like, I'm sorry, I'm a baby girl. I'm a baby girl. I'm going to switch up my style. I'm going to switch up my looks. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I'm going to switch up my styles. I'm going to switch up my looks. Yeah? And no man will ever be able to make me feel any type of way about it, because I know deep down men will chat a lot of this, yeah, but will be out here paying for pussy. The same galdom that you want to be dissing, you're paying for pussy for it, yeah, or you're begging them in the DMs for pussy, or you're just hoping and praying or bashing your ting off. Do you know what I mean? Like, so man so yeah, that's why I rate man them that, like, just say, listen, I want a woman that let women just be themselves, and they're not here trying to police women. Like, that whole policing how women look thing is also a dickhead thing as well. Like, I'm so sorry. You get me? Definitely uplift, black women especially, we do need upliftment when we're in our, our natural whatever, do you see what I'm saying? But it's not for you to tell us how to move or whatever. But if you see a black queen, whatever, she's got a natural hair, yeah, big her up in that. Do you know what I mean? Make her whatever. But you try to control us, tell us not to wear lashes or do our nails and all of this stuff. That's the whole, like, please, I beg, allow it, Iyaahni. Because in history, Iyaahni, we have always played with our styles and looks. You lots act like these lots were the first ones to create wigs, which is crazy to me. Yeah? Anyway, moving on. However, like I said, we're not going to also pretend. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a wig 24, 600, 5 days a year, whatever, you see me, I don't sleep with my wig on or whatever. I'm not in the yard with my wig on and all of this stuff. More time when you see me with a wig on, it's because I've been out that day. if the wig is my look for that month or whatever, yeah. But what I'm trying to explain is, like, you still also shouldn't be blocking the signals. So that's a real thing. I don't want you not to ever think I'm not taking away from that, because trust and believe, Iyaahni, the downloads I catch, yeah, when I have no wig, etc., but I still spiritual. You're still who you are, Iyaahni, regardless. Remember that. The Godhood is within you. All of this is just material. This is all physicality, yeah? We are not this. I am not this. I am not the look that I'm presenting to you today, okay? Iyaahni is I. So whatever I come to you as, Iyaahni, yeah, it's still I. Aye? All right. Come on. Now, the mirror effect. Independence as an X-ray. Independence acts like an X-ray on social structures. It shows who is role-based versus embodied, who has power versus who has permission, who is authority versus who borrows it. This is why the reaction is emotional and not logical, because nothing is being done to them, nothing is being taken, they're just being seen. Okay? Why the label is gendered and racialized. Notice, independence in men equals ambition. Independence in white women equals empowerment. Independence in black women equals threat. Why? Because black women historically held origin power, life, lineage, continuity, cultural authorship, so language, ritual, and values. Emotional regulation without external scaffolding. So when independence shows up there, it doesn't read as rebellion, it reads as memory. And memory destabilizes rewritten hierarchies. Okay? I wonder if I should do the rest. Should I do the rest? How far are we into this, guys? I can't even see it from it. Okay. Yeah. Got a little time for a little more. I'm trying to, do you know what it is? Because I don't want to read out what is going to be in my book, because I don't want too much repeats. Alright. Let's leave it here, guys. Yeah? Because I'm worried I'm going to start reading from the part that I want to do in my book. Alright. So, guys, we're going to leave it here for now. Yeah? I am actually writing a book on this. So, on meta versus non-meta love. Alright? And like I said, obviously, you can definitely, any relationship advice or dream decodings, etc., spiritual advice, questions, discernment, offloading, you just want a soundboard. But this is, I want people that are in their sovereign. I'm not a therapist. I'm not here to, you know what I mean? Like, I am here to be a soundboard and to give you a perspective and to give you clarity, and to decode. Yeah, but I'm not here to just listen and to whining or to listen to, I'm not here to be drained. When I give advice and best steps, etc., it's not that I'm telling you you must follow it, whatever, but action it, but show that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to be, I don't want followers, I don't want sheep, yeah? I don't want people that are looking to me like I'm some sort of guru or nothing like that. No, yeah? I just would love to help anyone that feels that they would love a sounding board. Because sometimes we just want to listen, and people are so busy these days. People do not have time, right? Sometimes you really need somebody to just be like, oh, what do you think about this and what's your opinion? And guess what? When they tell you what they believe and what they're discerning, what they're seeing from their outside perspective, because of your ability to know, to see from within, yeah, you are able to use that discernment from the perspective from outside and internalize it and see what really works for you and what doesn't, right? And then you'll be able to come to an even deeper, more profound understanding of what is exactly like. You know, like sometimes when you say, oh, you ask somebody, oh, what do you prefer? Do you like this or do you like that? And then they tell you, oh, I like this. And then it actually makes you realize, you know what? Even though they said they like that, this is actually what I like. Right? So it's one of them ones. Now, I appreciate you if you've watched all the way to the end. Right? Hopefully you've learned a few things, at least one new thing, or you know, you've enjoyed the teachings, the messagings, etc. And to my mandem, please know that I'm not coming for you, yeah? I'm not coming for you. I'm just asking I to see yeah? I is I. And to my beautiful divine women, yeah? Remember who it is that you are and never forget. Because I know sometimes you got a big heart, yeah? Sometimes you got a big heart. Sometimes man them fuck up a little, so don't just cut them off straight away or whatever. I'll be real with you, like, sometimes you gotta, you know what I mean? But there's also a very big difference between giving someone a chance or making somebody realize what your boundaries are, because maybe they just weren't used to somebody with boundaries. But when you show them what your boundaries are and they still overstep them, I make sure you do what needs to be done. Yeah? Because as a woman, if you surround yourself by people who do not see you, your beauty will shrivel up. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But when you surround yourself by people that see you, your beauty will forever remain glowing. And also remember to make sure you're seeing yourself. Make sure you recognize yourself first and foremost. If you don't see yourself and you don't recognize yourself, others will not. Or others will see whatever it is that they want to see. Okay? Aye.